As today's MC, it's a bit different. Kind of weird, kind of awkward, I'm not gonna lie, but hopefully I can do you justice. So, the Wall of Fame commemorates retired teachers and staff who have had at least 5 years of service with Stowe, and who have been retired at least 2 years. The Wall of Fame was begun in 1987 by Stowe teachers and staff to recognize those who have had a positive impact on students in the school environment. Nominations are accepted in the spring from the community, students, both past and present, and all staff members of Stowe Monroe Falls City Schools. The committee selects the inductees from the list of nominees. Portraits of past inductees hang in the Commons. Perhaps you can take a walk by as you leave today. They are on the left Commons door above the showcase. Those selected for the Wall of Fame have demonstrated unusually high standards of character, achievement, and respect from peers and students. We look to them as examples of what we aspire to be. Today we honor our newest inductee to the Wall of Fame, and we are proud to announce our newest honoree as Mr. Borsuk. So I would like to go through a couple of different introductions, and this is kind of unique because typically we have people we have our past Hall of Fame, we have retirees, but I actually want to start with our students. We have current students from the Aviation Academy, so I want to thank you guys for showing Mr. Borsuk your support. The first and most important thing is the reason why I have a tie on today, 12 years later, is because Mr. Borsuk pulled me aside as a young teacher, basically told me to stop acting cool, act like a teacher, wear a tie, because that's what he did for 30 straight years. I'm sure the conversation didn't sound exactly like that. That's what it felt like. But to this day, I do credit Mr. Borsuk for, as a new teacher, kind of saying, hey, we're professionals here, let's act like a professional, and let's go ahead and respect the institution of being an educator. And I think Ed has done that throughout his entire career. Another quick story is, so the first 3 years of my teaching profession, I completely invoked the model of fake it till you make it. And I wasn't really confident as a science teacher, and I'd always go talk to Ed for a particular problem. And Ed, as a tenured teacher, a veteran teacher, was never judgmental. He never looked down on me. Hopefully I convinced him that I knew what I was talking about. But in my heart of hearts, I knew that he had a ton of wisdom, and he so gladly passed down to me. So thank you, Ed. And lastly, most importantly, this is kind of unique because not only is he a current staff member, but he's also a retiree. And for the past 3 years, in my bottom drawer of my cabinet in my office has been Ed's retirement gifts, which he refuses to take. So, Rose, can you come up here, please? Yeah, Rose, come on.
Looks just like now.
Here's the thing. I keep telling him I don't want him to retire. So
He's in denial.
I'm in denial.
I'm giving this to you because I need my office space.
Here's more.
And then
One more.
Gift cards expired.
So, as I quickly pass it along to Mr. Savanich, Mr. Morris, and the Academy team, I do think just that symbol of not taking gifts is what Ed is all about. Ed gives, but doesn't want to receive. He has given so much to our students, past, present, and future, based upon the impact of our colleagues. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Aaron Morris and Dan Savanich to speak about Ed.
For anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Aaron Morris, and I've had the privilege of working here at Stowe Monroe Falls High School since 2001. However, I did not have my first true interaction with Ed Borsuk until 2004, when I was first brought into the Engineering Academy to teach mathematics. Ed was a founding member of the teaching staff of the Engineering Academy and began helping to write the curriculum for the polymer testing and physics courses for this program in 1994. He started implementing this curriculum in 1996, the inaugural year of the Academy. Ed is now the last remaining member of the original set of teachers that were brought in to develop this new innovative career program, or as it was called then, a Tech Prep Initiative. The Engineering Academy was the first of its kind in Ohio then, and still unique to the state today, splitting a career program between 2 school districts. Ed is currently passing on his polymer legacy at Stowe to Dave Helmick, who will continue Ed's curriculum for years to come. Ed has truly left his mark on the program, helping to remain one of the most successful and discussed engineering-based programs in the state.
For those of you who don't know my name, I'm Dan Savanich, and I have been teaching English within the career programs at Stowe Monroe Falls since 2013. Ed Borsuk was one of the first people I met when I started teaching here. As a nervous, inexperienced first-year teacher, I went to the high school to pick up my textbooks and inspect my new classroom. And I remember walking into my room thinking, I thought classrooms had to have windows. Strange. While my classroom did not contain any windows, it did contain a second door leading into Ed's classroom. I hesitantly walked into Ed's room and introduced myself. We talked for several minutes, and he complimented me on my t-shirt and tie. Now, to someone who doesn't know Ed, this might seem like a very insignificant detail. But for those of you who do know Ed, it's probably the reason he continued talking to me to this day. At that time, I did not realize that I was speaking to a man who, in his 30 plus years of teaching at Stowe, had accomplished more than most teachers can dream of.
Ed started his career in 1976, and that was 2 years before I was born. At St. Edward's High School. He then got hired in Erie, Pennsylvania, where he taught at Mill Creek Intermediate School and McDowell High School for the next 3 years. Then Ed taught at JS Middle School in Mill Creek District for another 3 years before coming to Ohio, where he taught at Mentor High School until 1987. Finally, in the summer of 1987, we can all thank Rose, now Ed's wife, for luring Ed to the Stowe Monroe Falls School District, where polymer and science educational history was made.
In 2008, Ed developed the Aeronautics Careers Academy, and in order to teach this program, Ed was required to earn an Advanced Ground Instructor Certificate. Ed worked with the aeronautics instructors and administration at Kent State University to award college credit to students meeting certain criteria in the classes here at Stowe Monroe Falls High School. Ed has been teaching Intro to Aeronautics, Elements of Aviation Weather, Elements of Flight Theory, and Aerophysics in the Academy since its inception in 2009. That's when I graduated high school. Ed is currently in the process of passing on his aeronautics legacy to Todd, Rem, and Eric.
Ed's passion for students and education has impressed me every day since meeting him. He honestly cares about students and their learning. How many teachers among us would accept to learn and develop a completely new course and curriculum like the aeronautics program from scratch, knowing we only had a few years left before retirement? I will more likely be perusing vacationing catalogs, not writing completely new programs for our district course catalog. But Ed saw a need and readily accepted what was required to help make this program just another great program within the 6th District Compact. He has done more for the district than just teaching as well. He coached swimming and diving for 5 years. He was a member of the building leadership team during its early years, and he was a corporate challenge participant. I asked Ed's students to describe him in 3 words. His students were definitely able to paint an accurate portrait of Ed with their own descriptions. The most occurring words were caring, interesting, humorous, ripped, and genuine.
Ed has helped to launch the polymer careers of many students leaving Stowe Monroe Falls High School. He involves students with the local chapter of the Society of Plastics Engineers and the American Chemical Society, as well as the Vocational Industrial Clubs of America by participating in local, state, and national competitions. Ed received the C.W. Swank Agricultural Innovation Award in 1991, and although he is a Teacher of the Year every year to me, the Summit County ESC has awarded him this honor twice.
I've learned a lot from Ed during my past 17-year career. He's taught me to expect professionalism from students and coworkers every day, because it'll show you who cares and who does not. Ed respects someone that he knows cares about what they are doing. And if you have Ed's respect, that man will give you the shirt off of his back. Or in my case, a whole lot of sports memorabilia for a basement bar that I do not yet own. When I first entered into the engineering academy 3 years into my career, I wasn't sure how many more years I would be teaching. However, since then, Ed has showed me how to get the most out of teaching and has inspired me to be better every day. He's taught me to have high expectations for my students as well as for myself. I've been lucky enough to have been influenced by Hall of Fame teachers like Mike Drozen and Ed Borsuk that have taught me that the last few years of your career can absolutely still be when you're at your best. Every professional athlete and future Hall of Famer wants to retire while they are at the top of their game. And Ed will have managed to retire at the top of his game, not only once, but twice.
Ed Borsuk is what I would call my work dad. Anytime I've had a question about school or life, Ed has been there to offer me guidance. I actually tried to get Ed to legally adopt me in 2015, but he refused. He said I was too old and I'm a millennial, so. Ed has helped me with everything from writing lesson plans to hanging drywall. He's one of the most selfless people I have ever met. And Ed cares. Ed cares about people, and he cares about education. After 41 years of teaching, Ed is still one of the first people in the high school parking lot. He is still passionate about teaching, and most importantly, he continues to connect with students. Ed is a master of his content. He does not teach down to his students. He does not lower his expectations, and students respect him because of this. Ed has taught me the importance of being a professional and taking pride in being a public servant. Ed's passion for teaching makes me realize that I made the correct choice when I chose to enter the field of education. Some of you might be familiar with this saying, "A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops." Ed Borsuk's picture will forever be on the Wall of Fame upstairs, which is an amazing honor and one that Ed has earned. However, Ed's true influence will carry on through each and every student he has taught, which is the most valuable contribution an exceptional teacher can make.
Congratulations, Ed, on your well-deserved Hall of Fame induction.
Oh, goodness. 41 years, that's for sure. I'm old because I'm so old. All right, let me put my props up here. Okay, I'm going to put my props right here. I'll come back to get them. Real quick, though, before we get started, does anyone hear the latest rumor that we're going to start using our debit card on the copy machines before we can? Well, just to let you know, I started that rumor in case anyone didn't hear.
That did go around, it did.
Well, I thought it'd be funny one day to start that. So I want to introduce, first of all, my mom. Mom, stand up, come on. My brother Joe brought my mom here, so come on, Joe. He's not a teacher, that's why he was able to take some time off from his business today. And my lovely wife, Rose. You've seen her picture, and I know it's in some of your offices, because when I go in there, I see it. I don't think I need a microphone. I want to thank my mom and my dad also for all the support and encouragement they've given me through the years. And I don't know if you remember, but I think it was my sophomore year in Edinburgh. I hitchhiked home one night because I was like, I'm not cutting it here. I'm going to quit. And I remember hitchhiking home, and they just happened to be pulling out of the driveway, so it was good timing. And they took me in the house, and I don't know what they were going to do that night, but they probably ruined their plans, and we had this big talk. They helped me with my priorities, and I think I was going to hitchhike back the next day, and my dad said, "No, I'll take you back." So, that was so anyhow, that was a big step for me at Edinburgh, my second year. And of course, my wife Rose, I have to thank her for all her support and encouragement through the years, especially for dealing with me when she would ask me a question about geology or weather or polymers, and I would go into my teacher mode and give her this long, detailed explanation as to why that's a cumulus cloud and how it was formed, and she's probably zoning out or like, oh, she heard us blah, blah, blah. And so for dealing with that, but then also have to apologize to her because there were many times she would ask me if she could help grade papers. I'd bring this stack of papers home. I'd say, no, it's my job. I get paid for it. So it was that, I didn't let her share with that enjoyment of grading papers. So but these three young men up here said some, very nice things about me, and I guess I'm just not used to all that. And all right, teachers that are here. Anyone who's a teacher, you know what that first day of school is like when you come in and you're a little bit nervous about that first lesson. That's what I feel like right now. Like, oh my gosh, it's my first lesson all over again. But, and I'm probably not going to go through this thing. This was geared more toward, I thought there'd be a lot of teachers here, especially the young teachers, because they might want to hear some of this. So I'm going to stray from that a little bit. But there were two huge events in my life that really affected me as teaching, other than, Mom and Dad talked me into staying at Edinburgh. One was first year at St. Ed's. I got laid off at the end of the year. And that was, if you know anything about busing in Cleveland, that was before busing started. So St. Ed's was going through a little lack of enrollment. So it's like, okay, you 9 teachers, we don't need you anymore. Good luck finding another job somewhere. Well, I only made $7,000 a year there, which wasn't much. But it was a great environment. I loved it. And when they laid me off, I was like, oh, geez. Was it me? Was I not a good enough teacher or whatever? And at that point, I decided, if I'm going to continue in education, I have to make myself marketable. I want to be that guy that when the school district decides, yeah, let's get rid of him, let's get rid of her, I wanted to be one that he said, no, we got to keep that guy. So for those that don't know, I have 8 teaching certificates plus my FAA certification. So that kept me pretty marketable through the years. What's that?
What are they?
I don't know if I can remember them all. General science, earth. Oh, I was also a geology major at Edinburgh also, but that doesn't count toward teaching. Earth science, general science, physics, data processing, computer programming. I forgot what the polymer one is called, and I forgot what the aeronautics one is called. Because those are the newer ones. I never got into the names of those, but anyway, so. The other thing was my 4th year of teaching. And for any young teachers here, that I got to explain something here. Back in the olden days, and all the other people here who are on the wall up there, you'll attest to this. The teachers' lounge in those days, you go in there for lunch or whatever, and it'd be packed with people, and they'd be smoking their cigarettes, eating their lunch, whatever, Anyhow, my 4th year of teaching, I'm up in Erie, sitting in the teachers' lounge. Again, I'm a young teacher, and all these older teachers are sitting there, and all I heard for like the whole semester pretty much was, those darn kids, I hate this job, I'm going to be stuck with this the rest of my life. And after a while I thought, oh my gosh, that's what I'm going to turn into. And I didn't want that to happen. So I thought, okay, again, if I continue in education, I didn't want to be that old guy with the gray hair sitting at the table complaining about how much he hates his job. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do something about it. So the following year at J.S. Wilson and Drozen and actually, Rose, of course, Bill Welsh and some of the other. I took it upon myself to go into the classrooms and start observing people. And it wasn't because a principal said, like John Kunkel didn't say, Ed, I think you better start observing. I would just walk in the classrooms in Drozen. I was probably in your room, I'd say 6 times at least my first year here. I don't know if you recall all the times. But what I did, I would just watch these teachers, and I'd watch what they would do, and I wanted to see what they did and what the response was from the kids in regards to what they were trying to teach. So I wasn't concerned with content. I didn't care if Mike was teaching stats or calc or whatever, but I wanted to see how he was trying to share the information and what the kids did. So I did this, and I still do this today once in a while, maybe not as much. And some of the teachers, I didn't actually go in the room. I just sat outside the door and maybe listened for a half hour or something. So I have to thank all these teachers that let me do that. And actually, he didn't know what I was doing. I'm sure, John, I'm sure you probably never knew that I was doing that. But again, I would just, Jeannie Denton, I don't think she's here today. I remember sitting on her class and watching, okay, what is she doing? Okay, what kind of response? Oh, I don't like that response, I'm not going to try that. Oh, that was a good response, what that kid did. So I would try to incorporate that into my lessons, and that's what I pretty much have done through the years. But every year I have to reevaluate myself because, as every year you get a new group of kids. So one year, something that might have worked in a fantastic way, the next year it's like, okay, I got to revamp what I'm doing. I got to rethink about what I'm doing. How am I going to, now what do I have to do to keep their attention? And this, in case you're wondering what this is, this was from Mentor. This was a golden ticket. I got a golden ticket. And what they did, the National Honor Society in Mentor, the members, not everyone had to do this, but certain members of the National Honor Society would say, okay, I want to honor this teacher for, it says on here, let me see, let me put my glass up. You've had an impact on my life, and my name's on here and everything. So this was something that, it was like one of those pats on the back, and we all need those pats on the back. And that was one of the encouraging moments, not one, but all the way through the years, otherwise I probably would have really retired years ago. But we all need those encouraging moments. We all need those pats on the back. Another one was, and this is a little bit different, before the aeronautics program, I was teaching other sciences. I know, 5 minutes, I know. I'll go real short here. Anyhow, I was teaching other classes also. I had this one class one year, and this class, I always referred to it as the top 10 criminals in the school. They were in my class. And I don't want to say who the administrator was at that time, but twice a week, that administrator would come to our room, knock on the door. Ed, I need boom, 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 boom. Come with me, let's go. So finally one day, I went to him and I said, I know you have to take care of these kids, but why you always pull them out of my class? I mean, they need to be here. Anyway, so he said, yours is the only class that they show up for. So these kids, this was third period, they would skip first and second period class, come to school, and then skip again. So that was another one of those pats on the back that was like, wow, my kids, even though they're the 10 most wanted, they want to come to my class. So I always thought that, I wanted to be that teacher that had that impact for those students that they wanted to be there. Now sometimes, of course, they had to be there, but, so that was another one of those moments. It's like, wow, I'm doing something that's making an effect on these kids. So, okay, so my last lesson. So Kathy Drozen, this really has nothing to do with you pulling me into your classroom, but I used to go to Kathy Drozen's classes, and I was the polymer professor, and I used to give these polymer lessons. So since I've been teaching polymers for 31 years still, so some individuals still come to me saying, oh, I thought the polymer program was gone years ago. Well, yeah, it was, but this is an expanded polyurethane foam sponge. Okay, you may have seen one of these. This is a bottle of water. Okay, the bottle is made out of polyethylene terephthalate, which is a common plastic used nowadays. As teachers, we like to use analogies. So again, I was hoping to be a lot of young teachers here today for this to really set in. But we talk about the kids' brains absorbing stuff. Okay, so here's a sponge. Okay, it absorbs lots of stuff. There's no way, if this is our book of knowledge, there's no way we can get this stuff into this sponge just by giving the book to the kid and saying, here's a book. You can give the kid the book, you can give the kid a worksheet, but unless you know how to deliver the content to the kid, most of these kids are not able to absorb this knowledge. Yeah, they go through the motions, write down the right answers, but a year, 2, 3 from now, are they really gaining this knowledge? So we have to find a way to get this stuff out of wherever it's coming from the book or whatever, into the brain. The only way we can do this is by opening it up and sharing it with them in a manner, and not too fast, not too slow, because if I took this water, just opened it up and just poured it all, the sponge is only going to hold so much. The rest is just going to drain right out and be a big mess. If I only pour it a little bit at a time, well, pretty soon time's going to run out, and we're not going to empty the whole bottle, and the sponge isn't going to be full. So there's a lot of what we have to do that deals with how we approach it with the students and how we communicate, and we make it so that they want to gain that knowledge. So that's it. get to work with these two guys all the time, which makes my days wonderful because I know what I'm looking forward to. Team teaching with these two young men, and thank you for all your kind words. I appreciate it.
Let's go ahead and give him another round of applause. Not only is he now a member of the Wall of Fame, but I think the craziest part is I think you're the first person in Stowe Monroe Falls High School history to, when your time does come to an end, you are now being replaced by not only one person, but two. And I think that is a testament to what you do. So again, let's give him a round of applause.
I'll say one more thing, and this goes back to I looked at the wall today, and I was like, holy cow, I've worked with everyone up there except for, I think, 6 people. And so when you started mentioning about 2 years before I was born, I'm like, geez, yeah. So that was an honor. That was an honor.
All right, enjoy some cake and some punch on the committee. Enjoy the fellowship. Thank you so much for everyone attending, especially our previous honorees. Thank you so much. Have a great night.